Hello friends and welcome back to Picture Astrology. Today we will talk about the effects of Mars in the first house of Leo Ascendant horoscope. That means Mars will also be in the sign of Leo because we are talking about the very first house. Now generally speaking, this position is considered very beneficial for power and authority. However, this does not come without its own shortcoming also. So in next few minutes we will see the positive effects of this placement. We will also see some of the shortcomings which comes along when Mars is placed in such a way, and we will see some of the ways in which we can improve the negative side of it and make this position work for you in the best possible way. So before we start analyzing this placement, let's just see whether Mars is a hero or a villain, meaning a benefic or a malefic planet for Leo Ascendant. Now we know that Mars owns Scorpio and Aries sign, and these two signs falls into 4th house and 9th house for the Leo Ascendant. And these houses are also, the 4th house is a cardinal house and 9th house is a trine house. And anytime a planet becomes simultaneous lord of a cardinal and a trine house, it becomes a Rajyogaraka planet or simply a Yogakaraka. What it means is it's a highly beneficial planet. So for Leo Ascendant, Mars is a highly benefic, and just keep this in mind as we go along analysis of the chart. So first house is intricately associated with your appearance and also with your character, your mental makeup and also your physical stature. So when Mars in a fiery sign of Leo is present in the first house, it is said that it gives a fair complexion. Now obviously a lot depends on the genes and the ethnicity and race of the person, but in general it gives a fair complexion and a very royal nature. And by royal it means like king-like, or someone who really has a heightened sense of self-respect. Now this position is always linked with a very high sense of self-worth. So much so that others can easily mistake it for ego or arrogance. You know, they would come across like a very arrogant people because they value themselves very highly. Their self-respect is really heightened. Primarily because Leo is the sign of royal kings, and Mars in this position, Mars is a fiery, aggressive planet. So in this environment, the appearance or the character of the person becomes very dominating. They like to dominate others or every situation. They never like to be subdued by anything. And they also have very lofty ideas about themselves. They think of, themselves very highly. They you talk to such person and you know that they believe they are born to do something great, and that is easily misunderstood as ego or arrogance by others. Now how humble a person with this position will be is solely dependent upon the position of Saturn and Moon, how good they are. But one thing is for sure, when Mars is in such a position, the person becomes really aggressive and clear-headed in their lofty goals. They really have lofty goals and they go after their goals with full force, and which kind of seems like very aggressive, very arrogant, very egoistic, but they are in this life to achieve something great, and that's what they're after. So it is very important that they can, if they can, develop some kind of humility. It's very difficult when the Mars is placed like this, but some kind of humility and understanding of others' feeling, if they can develop, that can help a long way in going forward in life. Now first house also represents your body. Now Mars, a fiery planet in Leo, a fiery sign in the first house, basically shows that the body has high content of heat or acid. Acidity is a common problem. Headache because of the excess heat or excess aggression is also very common when such a placement happens. Also, first house, though represents body in general, it represents head in particular. And Mars presence here almost always indicate that in childhood they get some mark on the head, some mark because of some falling down from stairs or something. So they usually have a clear mark, birthmark on the forehead. And since we are talking about the effect on body, this Mars has a direct aspect on the 8th house. In Vedic astrology, Mars is ascribed a special aspect wherein it views the 8th house with 100% aspect. And Mars aspect here, given the high heat and acidic tendency in the body, kind of shows that some or the other problem in the gut area. It also shows that they should be careful when they are dealing with say iron or metal related things or anything related to fire, or even in kitchen if they are cooking, they are the ones who have the tendency to get their hands or arms burned. So please be careful about it. Now let's talk about fourth house related matters, because Mars is not only the lord of fourth house, which is the Scorpio sign, but it also has an aspect on it, because according to Vedic astrology, every planet Mars aspects the fourth house from itself. So the first thing which comes into mind with fourth house is that it is the house which shows your immovable properties, which includes your home, your houses, your apartment, your condos, your land, your farmhouse, etc. And Mars is actually natural karka or natural significator of these things as well. And we also know that Mars is a yoga karka or a highly benefic planet for Leo Ascendant. Therefore, these people, you can almost say with 100% surety by just looking at one placement. In astrology, you shouldn't predict anything with just one placement, but this probably is an exception to the rule. You can definitely say that the person is lucky in terms of immovable properties or land. Also, because Mars is lord of 9th house, Aries sign, and 9th house shows luck, especially the luck of your father. You can easily say that the person would inherit some or the other kind of property from the parents. It could be small, it could be big, depending upon the other factors of the horoscope, but almost certain that some kind of land or home or house will be inherited. And not only inherited, they can do business or professional life of their can revolve around dealings with homes or immovable properties. They could involve in things which include farming or things related to farming, or like a broker of or seller of houses, or they could be builders who build houses, or anything related to land or immovable properties generally prove very beneficial when you have such a Mars. Now another signification of fourth house is education. It is considered the house of education or formal education, at least up to the point of graduation. Now Mars in the first house, we saw the personality of the person is aggressive, and at the same time being in the fiery sign, it gives a very practical outlook towards life. They are not a big fan of philosophy or imagination or poetry or arts or or that kind of thinking. They love something which is highly practical, very tangible, something they can touch and feel and deal in everyday life. So they would not be interested in any education which is only theoretical. If you just teach them poetry, or if you teach them philosophy, they will not be interested in it. If you just keep on teaching them history just from the bookish perspective, they will not be interested in. The best way to get such people interested in formal education or learning process is making it as much practical as it can be, doing as many experiments in real life as possible, rather than going the theoretical or bookish route, because they are not going to like it. And if their education keeps revolving around theory, as is the case in many parts of the world, then they would rather get involved in working life, because it's a practical life, rather than study. So this is one thing which parents and you yourself need to be aware of. And the more practical, the more hands-on education and life becomes, the more happy they would be in their life. Now, fourth house also shows your family, but in more specifically your mother. We'll just talk about this real quick. So, two things. One, Mars is the lord of the fourth house, and its aspect on the fourth actually shows a mother who is also pretty strong-willed. A mother who also has a similar practical outlook, who is many times successful in real life, also pretty much practical in her outlook, just like the native himself would be. And it also shows that the character is, or the mother is, a very strong character, is a bulwark. She is not a shy, timid motherly figure. I mean, she is very protective of the kids. She takes care of them, but she's not shy kind of lady, which is a good thing. Now, the other thing which this also shows, that you can, and it depends on some other factors also, but it can show that the native with this birth had like a cesarean birth or C-section rather than normal birth, because aspect of Mars here shows that mother might have to go through a little extra pain while having the baby, but that depends on few other factors also. Now let's just quickly talk about the seventh house or marriage aspect of it, because Mars from the first house has a direct aspect on the seventh. So we know that initially we saw that Mars in the first house, or in this position, gives a very aggressive personality, and they are also very free-minded. They love their independence a lot, and therefore it is normally observed that they commit to formal marriage relationship only after enough consideration, only after some time. So there is always a delay in getting formally married. Now, a lot depends on the position of the seventh house lord, which in this case becomes Saturn, and also the natural karaka, which is Venus and Mercury, Venus and Jupiter, etc. But just about this position, a delay is generally observed in marriage. So my dear friends, this was my quick analysis of Mars in the Leo Ascendant. I hope you liked it. For more such videos, please do like and subscribe to my channel. Until the next video, stay blessed. See you soon.